And welcome, everybody, to the glorious episode of the Put On Waivers podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day, beautiful morning, about 5 a.m. A little foggy outside right now on the West Coast. Ryan Holmes is out east doing some things out there. Ryan, how you doing today?
Doing good. I'm Cape Cod. Can't complain.
Yeah, can't play now. Can't play. If you're gonna go to the East Coast, now is the time. Now is the time. Now's the time. Shout out to Bionic Raider, Triple A Beats, Raider Rich, and Bourbon Raider. If you also can hit us up on Twitter at RORTPOW podcast, and then our home 22. That's HOLM. Thanks for the folks who are listening in San Marcos, California, Brooklyn, New York, Tallahassee, Florida, Pittsburgh, PA, and Dallas, Texas. All those folks, thank you for listening and watching on YouTube. We appreciate all the likes, and if you got some dislikes, that's fine. That's fine. I'm a tough guy. I can take those. I'm not gonna crumble like a little flower. I'm good. A lot of NFL topics as always here on the show, and we're gonna start off in Cleveland. And Cleveland is, I think Travis Kelce kind of laid down the gauntlet, saying that like that was the best, that was the best team the second best team in the AFC. This team is going to be, one of the teams to beat in the American Football Conference, but they have a decision to make at quarterback. And do you feel like Stefanski's system is a system that is sustainable? And do you feel like this is something that, do they need to make a big splurge at this quarterback position in order to keep Baker Mayfield happy and keep this team and keep this quarterback in there for the long term?
That's the question facing the Browns front office right now: is what do they do with Baker Mayfield? He's on the books for this year at $920,000. They picked up the fifth-year option, which is a little over, I think it's like $18.8 million. So they have him under contract for 2 more years, and then they could even franchise him. So theoretically, they have him under contract for 3 years. And the first 2 years in the league, he wasn't very good. And then last year, under Stefanski, kind of took off. I think he's more a product of that system than he is, a quarterback you can win with, like an elite guy. They need the running game there, the play action, because if you have Baker Mayfield and you're just dropping back and throwing out of the pocket, I think you're 23rd in the league last year in QBR, those situations. I've said it, the Cleveland Browns have the best roster in the NFL if you take the quarterback off. If you look at the other 52 guys on the roster. So to say they're the second best team in the AFC, there's a chance they are. Them or Buffalo right now. They've added to that secondary with Troy Hill, who's the guy from John Johnson from
John
the Rams?
Johnson the third, yeah.
Clowney they added. They're getting Odell Beckham Jr. back, who missed most of last season.
Owusu in the draft.
So this team's prime. Yeah, and so this team is positioned to make a run this year. I'm not a long-term believer in Baker Mayfield, so if I was in charge, I would probably let this play out. It's a win-win. If Baker goes out there with a chip on his shoulder and they win, then they're going to pay him. If he goes out there and has a mediocre year, then they're not locked in long-term. This feels a lot to me like Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, overreaction to 1 year of production. So I'd like to see him do it again. And if he does, everyone's going to win. Cleveland's going to pay him if they do it again. So I'd make him go prove it one more time. But I love the rest of that roster.
Yeah, I would, I don't even know how the Raiders won that game last year against the Cleveland Browns when I look at the roster from last year. Whether or no weather, it doesn't matter. It's still a really good roster. I do feel like, I tell you, I wasn't a fan of the draft pick of Denzel Ward, but he's turned out to be a really good player. Unlike other shows, like I'm okay if I commit when I'm wrong, or we can admit when we're wrong. So some folks will make predictions and then you don't hear about that prediction ever again. Newsome, the kid out of Northwestern, right? At corner as well, and I just this is like probably the last rodeo. This is the last paycheck for Clowney here.
Has
If
to be.
you, it has to be like he has been the 1 year wonder of making sure he gets paid, and more power to him. Clowney can go out there and get paid. Somebody wants to pay him big money to give you nothing. Um, excuse me, to play 6 games and have have no averages and no sacks and no pressures. That's great for him if he can get that job done. But he's always talked about, oh, this is the year. This has always been the player he wants to play with. Clowney knows how to play the game, but playing against Myles Garrett, playing opposite Myles Garrett, if you cannot get anything done there, then what is the point? I mean, nobody should ever pay this guy again.
Yeah, he's turned into a decent run defender, but the pass rush, the pressures have been there, but he's never actually got the sack totals. I don't think he's ever had a double-digit sack season. Injuries have played a key factor lately, but he's not going to get any focus from the offensive line this year. They're going to be doubling and tripling Garrett because they don't really have an interior guy that's going to get a ton of pressure. So he's going to be one-on-one a lot with the right tackle, and we'll see if Clowney can win some of those. And then back quickly on Baker Mayfield and Stefanski. Stefanski won in this system, if you remember, with Case Keenum in Minnesota, and then also with Cousins. So he doesn't need an elite quarterback for this system to work. So we'll see.
But the only issue is to get to the next level, and like not every quarterback who wins the Super Bowl is Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady has plenty of rings, but he didn't win it every single year he was in the league. You can get to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. You can get to a Super Bowl with some quarterbacks, Jake Delhomme. I mean, you could. The list goes on and on.
Plenty of them.
I mean, I Doug Williams. I mean, you can go back as far as you want. But can you win it? And I think that's the thing that Cleveland is gonna set themselves up for, and like you said, why not just play it out? Like I have no it gives you roster flexibility. Everything in their favor if they just play it out and not just go out there and just splurge here and do. I mean, I think listen, they were lucky with the Rams that a guy like Stafford became available. I mean, they were gonna end up being stuck they were going to a playoff game in Seattle, and they were legitimately going to start a backup quarterback when they had a high price guy like Jared Goff. I mean, that was kind of crazy when you think about it in retrospect. But listen, Cleveland's in a good spot. You got to have players first and foremost, and they have players first and foremost, and they have a good GM. They have a good head coach, and that's why I always say people talk about coaches who are the yellers and screamers. I mean Stefanski is it's like a church mouse the way he does it. It's all cerebral. This game now is cerebral opposed to back in the day where you got Lou Holtz grabbing somebody by a face mask. Right.
And we don't know what Baker's camp is asking for. So if he wants 25 to 30 million, then they might lock that up. If he's asking for 35 to 40 million, no way. Yeah. But the price is only going to go up if they wait, but they'll have more information to make that decision. So if he's looking to be in the Dak Prescott neighborhood paychecks, then there's no chance that I make that deal now.
No, I can't. It's no possible way. Brandon Jacobs. What is going on? I mean, listen, everybody wants to improve their pass rush, and I guess he is trying to become a pass rusher. I guess teams are. He was always a huge running back. I mean, he's always big as hell as far as that goes. But now he wants to try to come in the league, make a comeback here as a defensive end. I'm not sure who's interested, but what are your thoughts about the comeback of Brandon Jacobs? I wonder what his Madden rating would be as a defensive end.
There's a level of desperation here. I don't know if he needs money. This has like an Antoine Walker gambling late in his career feel to it. Like this guy's desperate for money. He's going to be 39 in July. And I did a little bit of research on it this morning. He's never played defensive end other than 3 snaps in high school. So he wasn't even a defensive end in high school other than 3 snaps from what I saw online. And I don't know. I mean, at 39 to hold up in the trenches against those big guys, and he's never done it. How is he going to hold up in the run? Because he was a big running back. He probably played at like 250, 260, but
Yeah.
that's an undersized defensive end. I have no idea what he weighs now. He claims 3 teams are interested, but he didn't want to release the names of the team because he didn't want to jinx anything. But
Oh, that sounds
could I
like
see a team bringing him to camp?
that sounds like an
Maybe.
agent talk right there. I like
Yeah.
that. He's like, all right.
You want to bring a 39-year-old to camp who's never done it rather than, a young 22, 23-year-old, because he's probably not going to make a roster at this point at 39. So
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. But yeah, there's something in the background going on where I think that he needs some cash.
Okay, I think a question about it on the Steelers. This note I just read about this note here. The Steelers let go of David DeCastro. That sounds like a team, and everything I've been reading about that is here's a team that's going from power to zone, and he fits more of a power scheme. So I have to see what
Yeah,
happens.
there's some
As far
injury
as
there. He's got an ankle injury.
yeah.
Uh, I think he might retire too, from what I've seen.
Okay, so that sounds good. I understand taking care of your baby, taking care of your kids, and totally respect the situation that goes on with Lamar Jackson. I mean, listen, if mom can do the contract, let mom do the contract. Keep the money in house. But he talking about another young quarterback who is on their way to getting paid. A big deal here. Lamar Jackson, just a touchdown machine. No matter it could be conventional or unconventional. He's a guy who scores touchdowns a lot. What are your thoughts about how do they tread lightly here? If you're the Ravens, like, do you go out there and make sure everything is all the dots are all the I's have dots and the T's are crossed, as far as making sure that an inexperienced um, person like his mom negotiating the contract is doing this contract because you don't want to, like, I mean, you don't want to set up a situation where we're like it's a contract where you get bad will off the situation where you just end up taking from this whole situation, and taking advantage of Lamar Jackson. I mean, listen, she might be the best negotiator. She might be Lee Steinberg. I don't know. I'm just wondering. I'm worried about, like, it doesn't seem like she's done this she has a lot of experience doing this, but he is an important player in this franchise.
Yeah, the agent is usually just a buffer between the team and the player. So when there's ill will or there's negotiations, there's someone in between, so the player is not hearing it straight from the team, because the team doesn't want to say that what they really feel sometimes. So, but things can get personal at this point. So if they're negotiating with his mom and he's not getting what he wants, she's gonna take some slight to that, and it's gonna get back to Lamar. So this is kind of a weird situation for the team to tread in. I would assume this is going to go pretty easily, that the team's not going to play hardball here. They want to sign Lamar Jackson long term.
Yes.
He wants to be there. So I think this deal gets done pretty quickly, but it's a very interesting choice as an agent, because, like I said, you need that buffer between the team and the player when things can get a little sticky in these negotiations, or just kind of in the dialogue back and forth. He's trying to compare himself to the top paid quarterbacks in the league, and maybe the team doesn't feel he is one of those. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. But like you said, if it's going to be smooth and he's not going to play hardball, he might as well keep the money in house. I don't blame him for that.
Yeah, for that. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, if the and who knows, maybe the groundwork and everything has been laid out, and he just said, hey, I'm gonna go. He knows he knows contractually and structurally what he wants, and then he just have his mother do it. Why not?
Well, she did the first contract too out of the draft, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, hey, if she, and then that's it's all about language and all about all the other stuff that goes with it. So hey, if she, listen, maybe for her, she can go out there and not only do Lamar's deal and start, get a business for herself and start getting kids out of college, and do it that way as well. So why not? Mac Jones and the Patriots, and I love the Colin Cowherds of the world and everybody else who say they can just say it without any question that the Patriots are a playoff team. I think I absolutely love this conversation. It's the total East Coast bias. Nobody else exists outside of Boston and New York teams. So they continue to say things like that. It drives me crazy. I mean, and he's in camp wearing number 50, which is kind of funny. Um, they spent a whole lot of money. They spent tons of money on basically. I mean, this is worse when I think this is worse money spent than when the Eagles. Remember, the Eagles had the Dream Team. At least some of those
Dream
players.
team.
Yeah, the Dream Team, right? At least some of those players were actually proven. This is not a proven. I mean, these guys are Kendrick Bourne. Like, I mean, I can't even imagine. Like, it's amazing. You talk about East Coast bias. As many bad moves as the Raiders did, can you imagine if the Raiders spent the money they spent at Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar? People would be
A lot of money.
eviscerating John Gruden. So, they already do it now, which is deservedly so at times. But what are your thoughts about Mac Jones? No contract signed yet, but I think that's definitely going to come in the works. Um, you know, Cam and him, I think they both can play at the same time. It wouldn't even be that big of a deal. I think you have some diversity in their games. Um, do you do people think like Mac Jones just because he's I mean, like, do people really feel like he's just Brady? Like, oh, I've already heard that he's an extension of the OC on the field. Like, I mean, people really feel like this is just not this is gonna be seamless just because it's New England.
Yeah, ask those same New England fans what they think of Tua because they're all going to say he sucks because he's with the Dolphins, but he started over Mac Jones for 2 years. But
Yeah.
this is much ado about nothing with the contract. The camp doesn't open for another 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. The five quarterbacks, Justin Fields is the only one that is signed, and the two guys right in front of Jones, Slater and Vera Tucker, haven't signed. So this might be the agent just holding out a little bit longer, get those two deals done in front of him, and try to squeak a few extra dollars out of the Patriots. But he's going to be in camp. He's going to be signed when training camp opens. They haven't signed any of the top three picks yet, so this is just a procedural thing. It's going to get done. Um, there's a lot of stuff you see flying around on the internet about is he going to hold out? I don't think he's holding out. This is just something that's going to take another probably 2 weeks to get done, and he'll be there. But to say this team's a slam dunk playoff team, I don't believe that at all. I think they're the third best team in that division right now, and the AFC is pretty loaded. There's going to be some good teams that don't make the playoffs.
And Miami won a playoff game. I'm not sorry. Miami won 10 games last year without a quarterback. Like, really didn't have great quarterback play at all, in any way whatsoever. So, like, I mean, that's shocking to me. Like, to me, right? I mean, I know it's a Patriot logo. I know it's been 20 years and they've been pretty good, but one of the biggest reasons they've been pretty good is in in
He's
Florida
in
right
Tampa.
now. He's in Tampa now. He's in Tampa now. And you know what? I think last week we talked about like the whole stupid this stupid thing that the whole thing, people make a big deal about what he said on the shop. I think that one thing I'm gonna get a little tired of is big winner, tough guy quarterback. I get it, all that stuff like that. Put a name on it, cousin. Like, you know what I mean? Like, put a name on it. Like, I mean,
Just say who it was.
let's just say who it was. Like, say who it was. Like, I mean, same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Like, playing coy back and forth with Kenny Mayne. Like, just say the words. I will never play in Green Bay ever again. Just say it. I don't want to hear it through a report through your agent. Just say it. Just say it. Once you say it, then I'll respect it. But as far as I know, Aaron Rodgers, you're going back. Tom, I don't care who you were talking about. We all know you got a baby mama in New York, along with Giselle. You weren't the only team who's going to go West Coast for was the Niners. We all know that. I think who knows? Who cares about that part of it? We did talk about. I did want to talk about what we love and what we hate about certain teams. A couple of those teams are the NFC West, and one of them are the Arizona Cardinals. Um, I'll let you go first. Give me some things that you love and some things you do that you hate about this team.
I like the wide receiver depth here. Obviously, in that style of offense, you need wide receivers. I think AJ Green, he's not going to be the age you're going to remember, but he's going to put up decent numbers there. And clearly, they have DeAndre Hopkins, Isabella. They took Rondell Moore in the first round. Christian Kirk is still there. So they have some different pieces, some slot guys, some speed guys, some bigger outside guys. So I like those weapons. I like the interior of the offensive line with the two guards and obviously bringing in Rodney Hudson. I think that's going to help. In pass protection, I don't know if they're going to hold up very well running the ball, but this team doesn't try to run the ball that much. But I do like the Rodney Hudson addition. There's a lot of things about this team I don't like, though. I don't like the tight end depth. They don't use a tight end much, but they don't really have any. I don't like the depth all across the roster. If they have starters go down, they're in trouble. And then in the secondary, I don't like their secondary. They're Bruton Baker. I don't like the corners. I don't like the free safety. And I don't like their offensive tackles, which is going to be key in that division in the NFC West, trying to pull up in pass protection. So I think Murray's going to be scrambling a lot again next year. They brought in James Conner to help run the ball. He's a serviceable running back. I don't think he's a difference maker at all at this point. So they're going to have to throw the ball. They're going to have to throw it a lot, and they're going to have to throw it to Hopkins and AJ Green to have a chance to put up a ton of points. But they do have a lot of issues on this roster still.
Yeah, I would say the thing that I don't like, and I'll start off with that, is the lack of this team seems a little too pass happy for me. Like we're way past happy. And if you look at, I know people feel like just because I think when you look at them at a glance and you look at maybe the game against Buffalo where they hit the Hail Mary, great catch by DeAndre Hopkins and everything like that. They're not a Kyler Murray is not a big yards per attempt guy. He really isn't. A lot of short stuff. And I think that's something where like it would surprise a lot of people when they look at the number and see where he ranks there. So that's something I don't like. I think they can be unconventional. And I think where teams like the Niners, where they played them last year, where they were able to beat them because that pass rush couldn't get there. He's elusive. He can make play. I like him more on a broken play opposed to the actual play itself. Don't like the head coach. And I don't think this – I think this is a team that could be the thud. And this is where I think the Niners could jump up in the division because I think they're going to – I think they have opportunity here. I think they might fall on their face here as far as this goes. I'm not we're getting Rodney Hudson, getting J.J. Watt. People think this team is going – people are going to amp this team up as much as they possibly can. Because they're not looking deep into the Cardinals. They're looking at just from a wide view. They're not really looking really in the depth to what's going on. I just don't love what I see from this team and this head coach. And I'm not sure. I think they're going to pay the price for not going out there getting a real big time guy to work with Kyler Murray and get this offense going in the right way. And just not having, there's no fullback on this roster, right? Which I know the league is getting away from that anyway, but there's not even good tight end depth. Max Williams. Max Williams and was it Owen Daniels over there as well? Like those guys are just pass catchers. They're not like who's gonna block anybody. So as long if you're not, you need some kind of blocking. No, Darren Daniels, sorry.
Watt going to play 17 games? Because I don't think he is.
Say again?
That's the other question. Is J.J. Watt going to play 17 games?
Yeah, well,
I don't see him physically holding up for that long.
And speaking of physically holding up, I think another question is Kyler Murray going to play 17 games? That's a big. In that division, with pass rushers they have with the Rams, pass rushers they have with the 49ers, the pass rushers they have in Seattle, I mean, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. So I'm not saying it's a lost cause. I'm just saying that, the worst coaching staff or head coach. I should say coaching. I should say head coach. The first worst head coach. And listen, his house and wherever he lives, when he's watching the drafts, is amazing. But as far as just like him just X's and O's and trying to go after some of these better head coaches, that's gonna be a tough job. And I'm still surprised that I'm not sure if Rodney Hudson had a bunch of suitors, so the Raiders were trading him there as a. But I was still shocked that he went to that JJ Watt chose that team when the lot was open, and he could have probably went anywhere.
He had 16 million reasons to go there. They paid him.
They paid him, and
But this team's 1 or 2 injuries away from being 6-11. They have to stay healthy because there is not a lot of depth on this team.
No. I mean, I think one more thing I like is that obviously, what do they do with Simmons? Like Simmons was that kind of like like what kind of player is he? And then I do like on the bad side, I do like Chandler Jones as a player. I think Chandler Jones is special, fantastic pass rusher in that system they have down there in Arizona. Let's go to Seattle real quick. The things we love about Seattle, and give some things that you hate about the Seahawks.
Well, Seattle obviously will start at Russell Wilson. I love Russell Wilson. I think he's a great player. He's a top 5 or 6 quarterback in the league, and he can make plays. He can extend plays. He's really good at knowing how to protect his body. He plays every snap every week, so you don't have to worry about him getting hurt. I like the wide receivers here. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and then I like Eskridge, the rookie they picked up in the draft that can play in the slot. I like their new tight ends this year. I like Gerald Everett coming over in the system that Shane Waldron brought over from the Rams. He's familiar with it. He's an athletic option for the middle of the field. I like Colby Parkinson, the big 6'8" tight end they took out of Stanford a couple of years ago. I think he's going to have a good season. They can run the football. I like their running game. So there's a lot to like offensively. Now, the hate, I'm just basically going to go to the defensive side of the ball. I don't like their interior defensive line at all. I don't like their corners. I don't like their linebacker depth other than Bobby Wagner. I don't like the rest of those guys. Jordan Brooks has a chance to be a solid player, but he's a second-year guy. So I think this team's going to give up a lot of points, and they're going to need to score a lot of points to win games. But luckily, the offense is going to carry this team.
Yeah. Just on the back end, as far as pass rushers go, I do like the depth that they have at pass rusher. They do have some guys who they do have on third and longs. They can. Benson Mayowa is a guy who's not Lawrence Taylor, but a solid player. They are looking for some reclamation projects like Alden Smith, like Robert and Getchy, whatever. The guy I forgot. I never say his name. But I mean that's they might be able to get some pressure off the edges. But as far as like you said, I mean this defense is I don't really know what they're doing defensively with this roster. They need people they need some, and they've never been a guy. I mean Jordan Brooks in the draft. A lot of folks did not like that pick. As far as that goes, he wants to play. It seems like they're at a crossroads where you have a quarterback who wants to go bombs away, and then you have a head coach who wants to play smash mouth. And I almost feel like maybe smash mouth might be the way because it keeps the defense off the field. They might have to have more sustained drives, and I think that you could still mix in the deep passing game with Russell Wilson as well, because you have to. I mean, when you have DK Metcalf, you have Tyler Lockett, you have to, but they have to play a little bit more ball control in my mind, because that defense is just, you leave them on the field, a bunch of different plays. They're gonna give up a lot of plays.
Yeah. The new offensive system, I think, is going to help them. No longer are they going to be run on first down, run on second down, throw it deep on third down. So it's going to be a little bit more diversified, a little bit more personnel groupings. You're going to see a lot of crossing routes, a lot more underneath stuff. So that's going to give them a chance. They're still going to take their shots down the field.
You have to.
The offensive line is okay. I'd say they're probably somewhere in the 15 to 20th rank in the league as far as offensive line. So it's not terrible. It's not great. They should get hold of just enough. But there are going to be weeks where they're not going to play well, and Russell Wilson's be constantly under pressure in that division. So the running game will need to run it. But I do like their backs. I like Chris Carson. He's a good physical guy. If they can get anything out of Penny, who knows? This is going to be the year for him. They've got a little bit of depth there with Alex Collins.
You mentioned Russell Wilson running for his life. Is the offensive line improved enough? I know they picked up Gabe Jackson from the Raiders. Is that something where they can kind of get more of a solid front in front of him so he can make some of those plays on the field where he's not so improvisational?
Part of it is he holds the ball a while too, waiting for that stuff to develop. But I do like Dwayne Brown. I do like the guards. I think Lewis and Jackson give him, average guards. I've never been a huge Gabe Jackson guy. I think he's a league average guard, and he was overpaid with the Raiders, and I've stated that before they traded him for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. The questions along the offensive front, I think, are at the center position and right tackle for them. If they could upgrade at right tackle, they probably should. It's hard at this time of year. They have Brandon Shell over there. They brought over from the Jets.
Yep.
He's okay, but he's not a guy that's going to go out and dominate. Like, they're going to need to give him help a lot against some of these pass rushers in the NFC West.